What if the trash in your backyard could become the most beautiful part of your garden? Welcome to Nest Nature, a place where old bottles, cans, pots, and even teacups find new life as borders, fences, and colorful corners. In this video, we'll explore creative DIY trash garden ideas you can try right now, whether your space is big or small. You'll find timestamps in the description. Jump to the parts that inspire you most. And if you have questions or thoughts, please share them in the comments. If this video sparks an idea in your mind, use what you already have and make it your own. Maybe to you, I'm just another voice on a screen. But behind this content, there's a real story and a real family. This isn't just a video, it's a piece of my heart. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it truly matters. When you hit subscribe, you're not just helping a channel grow. You're helping a dream stay alive. You're giving a small family hope, one click at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing me. There is something magical about taking what others call waste and turning it into a quiet masterpiece. Imagine walking into a farmhouse patio where every step along the path is lined with painted tin cans, once forgotten in the corner of a kitchen. Now, they stand tall, proud, and reborn, each one carrying blooms that dance with the wind. Chrysanthemums burst in golden yellows, marigolds shine in warm orange, and asters spill soft purples that glow beneath the afternoon sun. The edges of the patio are no longer plain. They have become a story of thrift, creativity, and care. Each tin can carries its own color, brushed with rustic tones, sage green, cream white, faded coral, and soft sky blue. Together, they form a patchwork border that feels handmade yet timeless, grounding the farmhouse with warmth and character. Beyond the border, a wooden pergola rises, draped in climbing ivy. The shade it offers feels like a gentle embrace, as if inviting neighbors and family to sit, share tea, and laugh under the rustle of leaves. The stone path, scattered with autumn leaves, whispers stories of the season, of endings that bloom into beginnings, of discarded objects that find a second life in beauty. The farmhouse itself watches quietly, its wooden beams softened by age and memory. In the soft glow of twilight, the cans shimmer like jewels against the fading sky. It is not about perfection, nor grandeur, but about finding elegance in simplicity. Here, trash is no longer trash. A tin can is no longer just metal. It becomes a vessel of life, a frame for color, a reminder that beauty often waits in the most unexpected places. And as you stand there, the air filled with the fragrance of marigolds and the calm strength of chrysanthemums, you realize, this little border is more than decoration. It is proof that even the smallest act of care can transform a space, a garden, a home, and perhaps even a heart. Tiny yards often hold the greatest surprises. Step into a little garden embraced by a fence that glitters with light. Bottles, once discarded, now reborn as guardians of beauty. Each one tells a story, cobalt blues echoing the depth of the ocean, greens reflecting meadows in spring, yellows glowing like morning sunlight, and reds blazing like autumn's final flame. Together, they form a barrier that is not just functional but breathtakingly poetic. In the daylight, the sun filters through the glass, scattering colors across the soil like shards of a rainbow. Flowers lean gently toward the shimmering fence, as though admiring their own reflections. Marigolds glow brighter beside amber bottles, chrysanthemums bloom bolder next to emerald green, while asters soften the edges with violet grace. Even the humble sedum lifts its head, kissed by stained glass light. A tiny wooden bench rests nearby, weathered yet welcoming. Here, one could sit for hours, watching how the garden changes with every passing hour. In the morning, the bottles sparkle with fresh dew. By afternoon, the fence becomes a prism, splashing playful hues across the patio stones. At dusk, when lanterns flicker to life, the glass glows as if holding tiny secrets of the stars. This fence is more than a boundary. It is an art piece born of resourcefulness. It whispers the truth that elegance does not always come from grandeur, but from the willingness to see treasure where others see trash. In a world that forgets so quickly, this tiny yard remembers. It honors each bottle, giving it new purpose and dignity. As you stand within this vibrant cocoon, you feel not the limits of a small space but the vastness of imagination. The bottles sing quietly in the breeze, and you realize, this yard, though tiny, holds the sky, the earth, and the heart of every flower. It is proof that creativity turns confinement into freedom, and trash into timeless charm. In the heart of a cottage garden, beauty and kindness find one another. Imagine teacups, once chipped and forgotten, now swaying gently in the breeze. Each porcelain cup, painted with delicate flowers or soft pastel shades, has been reborn, not as a vessel for tea, but as a resting place for tiny birds. From their curved edges, seeds spill generously, drawing sparrows, finches, and robins to feast and sing. The air feels alive with fluttering wings and soft melodies. Beneath these floating cups, the garden itself blooms like a tapestry. Chrysanthemums in shades of gold, asters with purple crowns, marigolds glowing with fiery warmth, all rise proudly from the soil. Japanese anemones lean gracefully, their petals catching the sun as if bowing in quiet applause for the scene above. The teacups hang from branches and pergolas, each one a story of transformation. Once tucked away in dusty cupboards, they are now jewels of the garden, mingling practicality with poetry. They invite not only birds but also wonder, reminding visitors that even the smallest gesture of creativity can open doors to joy. In the afternoon light, the cups shimmer softly, porcelain reflecting beams of gold. A rustic wooden fence encloses this sanctuary, while ivy drapes gently overhead. A wooden bench waits in the corner, perfect for those who wish to sit quietly and let the garden symphony wash over them. What makes this space enchanting is not its size or grandeur but its soul. The teacups whisper stories of gatherings past, while the birds write new ones in their songs. The flowers, ever loyal, frame it all with color and fragrance, reminding us that harmony is found in coexistence. As you linger, you realize this is more than decoration. It is a conversation between man and nature, between memory and renewal. Here, in this humble garden, the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and a chipped teacup becomes a timeless gift. In the quiet charm of a front yard, beauty often emerges from fragments. Here, broken pots, once discarded as junk, find a second life as a mosaic border, stitched together with care and imagination. Each shard carries its own history, a curve of terracotta or a splash of glaze, now woven into a tapestry that frames the garden with color and texture. The mosaic is not perfect, and that is its magic. Blues meet reds, soft creams kiss rustic browns, and hand-painted patterns peek out like secrets from another time. Together, they form a path that leads the eye gently across the yard, guiding footsteps toward flowers that bloom in abundance. Chrysanthemums rise proudly in golden crowns, asters sprinkle their violet stars, and marigolds radiate warmth like captured sunlight. Above, the sky is clear and kind, scattering golden beams across the mosaic border. The pieces catch the light differently, matte terracotta warms beneath the sun, while glossy painted shards sparkle like hidden gems. The garden seems alive, whispering stories of resilience, of broken things becoming beautiful again. A rustic wooden fence frames the scene, softened by ivy and the gentle sway of autumn grasses. Birds rest on the fence, their songs mingling with the rustle of leaves. A small stone birdbath stands nearby, reflecting the sky and adding its quiet charm. This is no ordinary yard, it is a sanctuary where creativity heals and thrives. There is poetry in thrifty beauty, in finding value where others see none. Each pot fragment tells us that imperfection holds its own grace, that even what is broken can build something greater. Visitors who step into this yard feel the warmth of its soul, not just in the flowers or the colors, but in the care that turned trash into treasure. As evening falls, the mosaic glows in softer hues, its shapes blending into the earth yet shining in memory. It stands as a reminder that every piece matters, every crack holds a story, and every garden has the power to turn loss into light. is a quiet magic in the corners of a garden where imagination lingers. Picture a wooden gazebo, its beams softened by time and its corners alive with color. Hanging from those corners are painted teacups, each one swaying gently in the breeze. Once forgotten on dusty shelves, they are now reborn, turned into tiny planters and bird feeders, glowing like lanterns in the sunlight. The teacups tell their own stories through their colors, soft pastels with floral patterns that echo the blooms below, bright rustic reds and yellows that sing alongside marigolds, delicate blues that mirror the asters. Each cup, though small, transforms the gazebo into a place of wonder, where practicality and poetry meet. Beneath these dangling treasures, asters bloom in gentle purples, chrysanthemums lift their golden heads, and Japanese anemones scatter their pale petals like whispers on the breeze. The earth feels vibrant here, as though the flowers themselves are reaching up to meet the hanging cups above. Sedum thrives nearby, adding its late-season charm, glowing softly as the sunlight wanes. The gazebo is not just a structure, it is a stage for nature's play. Birds flit from cup to cup, pausing to rest or to peck at seeds. Ivy climbs the wooden posts, weaving green lace that frames the scene. When the afternoon sun leans low, shadows dance across the stone pathway, and the air fills with a serene sense of timelessness. This corner of the garden feels alive with personality. It whispers of thrift, of reusing what once seemed ordinary. It celebrates creativity, transforming a simple teacup into a symbol of warmth and beauty. Visitors who step into the gazebo feel cradled by this charm, as if welcomed into a secret shared by nature and human hands. And as dusk approaches, the teacups catch the last golden rays of light. They glimmer softly against the ivy, as asters bow their heads and the garden settles into calm. It is here, in the gazebo's corners, that one realizes beauty is often found not in grand gestures, but in small, thoughtful acts that breathe new life into forgotten things. At first glance, it seems unlikely that bamboo and discarded bottles could create beauty together. Yet in a small garden, this unlikely pairing transforms into something extraordinary, a fence that is both natural and luminous. The bamboo, tall and strong, brings structure and rhythm, while the bottles, painted in hues of green, amber, and sapphire, scatter light like jewels hidden in the wood. The fence curves gently around the tiny garden, marking its boundary with elegance. In the morning sun, the bottles glisten, their colors shimmering softly against the golden bamboo poles. Flowers rise along its edge, chrysanthemums bursting like little suns, marigolds glowing with warmth, asters spreading their violet petals wide. Together, they frame the fence as if it were a piece of living art. There is a harmony here that feels almost timeless. Bamboo speaks of nature's endurance, strong yet flexible, while the bottles whisper stories of renewal, trash that has found a second life as treasure. The two materials, so different in their origins, embrace one another and create something greater than either could alone. In the afternoon, the fence casts playful patterns on the ground, stripes of shadow and streaks of color dancing across the pathway. Ivy winds itself gently around the bamboo, softening the lines with green lace. Birds perch lightly on the bottles, their songs mingling with the rustle of leaves, filling the small space with music. Though the garden is small, it feels expansive. Every corner offers a surprise, a cluster of Japanese anemones bowing beneath the breeze, a patch of autumn sedum glowing with soft pink, a rustic bench inviting one to sit and linger. The bamboo and bottle fence does not simply enclose the garden, it elevates it, giving the yard character and soul. As the evening light descends, the bottles glow like lanterns, catching the last golden rays of sun. The bamboo stands steady, grounded, while the glass glimmers with quiet magic. It is proof that beauty is often born from contrast, that strength and fragility, nature and waste, can weave together into something enchanting. And in this small garden, the fence is no longer just a barrier, it is a bridge between imagination and reality. As dusk falls over the garden, a soft glow awakens along the pathway. Tin cans, once discarded and forgotten, now stand as rustic lanterns, their sides pierced with delicate patterns, stars, circles, vines, allowing candlelight to flicker through. Painted in warm tones of amber, deep red, and sage green, they echo the colors of autumn itself, blending seamlessly into the fading light of the season. The pathway, made of stone and kissed with scattered leaves, becomes a stage for this quiet performance. Shadows dance across the ground as the lanterns flicker, weaving light and darkness into moving patterns. Marigolds stand tall nearby, their golden faces glowing even brighter beside the lantern's warmth. Chrysanthemums offer crowns of deep red and gold, while asters sprinkle their purple stars along the border. There is a hush in the air, a sense of intimacy. Each lantern is more than decoration, it is a vessel of memory, of care, of transformation. The humble tin can, reborn in color and light, reminds us that beauty can rise from simplicity, that even the smallest gestures can turn a pathway into a journey of wonder. Walking along the lantern-lined path, one feels a story unfolding with each step. The gentle sway of ivy on the nearby fence whispers of time passing slowly, while the flowers, resilient and proud, speak of seasons enduring. The lanterns themselves seem alive, their glow breathing warmth into the cool autumn evening. As the sun fully sets, the pathway transforms into a river of light. The lanterns shine brighter against the darkening sky, their patterns casting magic onto every stone. Birds quiet in the trees, and the first stars appear above, mirroring the twinkling glow below. In this moment, the garden feels eternal. The rustic lanterns remind us that light does not always need grandeur. Sometimes, it needs only intention, love, and creativity. A pathway that was once ordinary is now unforgettable, a place where autumn flowers and glowing tin cans meet to create a sanctuary of peace. is a grace in Japanese gardens that lies not in abundance, but in balance. Every stone, every plant, every curve of the path has meaning. Now, imagine a humble material, recycled glass bottles, woven into this philosophy. Placed carefully into the soil, their shapes form a quiet border, painted in earthy greens and muted browns to echo the tones of nature. Beside this edging, chrysanthemums bloom with elegance. Their petals stretch outward in shades of soft white and golden yellow, a symbol of endurance and renewal. Together, the bottles and flowers create a rhythm, a dialogue between what was once waste and what has always been revered. The garden feels both simple and profound, a reminder that beauty thrives when nothing is excessive. Gravel paths wind softly between moss-covered stones, their crunch beneath the feet grounding each step in the present moment. A bamboo water feature trickles gently, its sound blending with the rustle of leaves, offering a sense of calm that seeps deep into the soul. Japanese anemones sway lightly nearby, their delicate petals nodding as if bowing to the harmony around them. The bottle edging is subtle, not demanding attention but enhancing the scene. In sunlight, it glimmers faintly, like dew caught on the earth. At dusk, it darkens and blends into the soil, allowing the chrysanthemums to glow more brightly against the dimming light. This garden does not shout. It whispers. It teaches that transformation is not only about color and bloom, but also about finding stillness in repurposed things. A bottle, once discarded, now becomes a silent frame for beauty. The chrysanthemums, timeless in their grace, stand as companions to this quiet art. As you linger, the garden wraps around you like a gentle poem. The scent of flowers drifts through the air, the lantern flickers softly, and the bamboo pergola casts tender shadows. It is a space of reflection, where even the simplest materials find meaning, and where the edge between past and present disappears. Here, the Japanese spirit of harmony lives on, carried not only by the flowers but also by the bottles, now part of a story far greater than themselves. There is something enchanting about a corner transformed by playfulness and care. In a patio that might have once felt empty, a tower of junk pots now rises, tiered, painted, and bursting with life. Each pot carries its own charm: rustic terracotta, brushed in blues and greens, chipped clay, refreshed with soft pastels, bold reds and yellows adding warmth to the whole display. The pots do not stand alone. They are stacked in a cascading rhythm, a spiral of color and bloom. From the top, chrysanthemums spill downward like golden crowns. Marigolds, bright and fiery, burst from the middle, their warmth filling the air with cheer. At the base, asters spread their violet stars wide, grounding the tower with elegance. Sedum peeks out between the tiers, adding a texture that glows gently in the late afternoon light. Against the stone wall, ivy weaves its gentle green lace, framing the pots like an old painting. A wooden bench waits nearby, inviting anyone to sit and admire the cheerful abundance. The lantern on the bench flickers as the evening draws near, its glow blending with the colors of the flowers, turning the patio into a sanctuary of joy. This tiered arrangement is more than decoration, it is an act of renewal. Pots that might have been discarded now serve as vessels of beauty, carrying flowers that brighten the smallest of corners. Together, they transform what could have been wasted into a celebration of resourcefulness and imagination. Children passing by pause to point at the cascade of colors. Neighbors smile when their eyes catch the cheerful corner. Visitors are drawn to its whimsy, to the way it feels alive with personality and warmth. As twilight deepens, the flowers close softly, yet the pots remain vibrant, their colors catching the lantern's glow. In the quiet night, the tiered structure stands proud, a reminder that even the smallest corner of a home can carry the grandest beauty. Here, in this patio, thrift and creativity embrace, proving once again that joy does not come from perfection, but from the care to see treasure in what others overlook. In the intimacy of a tiny garden, walls themselves can become canvases. Picture a humble fence or brick wall, now alive with recycled teacups, each one mounted like a frame of art. Once forgotten in dusty cupboards, these teacups are reborn, painted in gentle pastels, rustic tones, or adorned with delicate floral patterns. They are no longer for tea, but for life itself, carrying flowers that spill softly over their porcelain edges. Marigolds burst forth like drops of sunlight, chrysanthemums add layers of gold and white, while asters scatter violet stars across the display. From one cup, sedum cascades gently, adding texture and grace. Together, they weave a mosaic of color that transforms the wall into something more than structure. It becomes a living gallery. Ivy trails along the wall, mingling with the cups as if nature itself has joined in the artistry. The small space feels expanded, for the vertical display draws the eyes upward, inviting wonder. Even in the tiniest of gardens, there is room for abundance, for imagination to climb as high as the ivy itself. At midday, the sun warms the porcelain, casting soft reflections across the flowers. In the late afternoon, the colors deepen, the shadows adding depth to the living art. As evening comes, lantern light or the gentle glow of the setting sun transforms the wall into a patchwork of warmth and quiet magic. This teacup wall art speaks not of extravagance, but of tenderness. It is thrifty yet elegant, whimsical yet timeless. Each cup carries its own personality, one cheerful and bold, another delicate and shy, another joyful with patterns of roses and vines. They remind us that beauty is often found not in what we buy, but in what we imagine. Visitors to the garden pause, surprised by the creativity. What was once overlooked is now unforgettable. A fence becomes a frame, a wall becomes a story, and a teacup becomes a garden in miniature. And as you stand before it, surrounded by blooms and whispers of ivy, you realize, even the smallest garden can hold art, and even the simplest vessel can carry joy. this garden, the sea has quietly found its way inland. Along the borders, painted pots echo the colors of the shore, turquoise like gentle waves, coral like reefs full of life, sandy beige like the quiet stretch of beach at low tide. Each pot, once discarded or forgotten, now breathes with fresh paint and purpose, lined with seashells that whisper stories of distant tides. Marigolds bloom like suns rising from the sand, asters scatter their violet stars as if mirroring the night sky reflected on water, and chrysanthemums crown the border with resilience and grace. Sedum adds texture, its muted tones balancing the brightness, while Japanese anemones sway like seafoam caught in a breeze. Together, they transform the yard into a living seascape, a place where earth and ocean meet. Driftwood lies gracefully at the edges, worn smooth by time, its curves echoing the flow of waves. Small shells are scattered along the pots, each one unique, each one a fragment of the ocean's memory. A fountain nearby trickles softly, its sound weaving seamlessly into the scene, like waves lapping at a shore. The border does not simply separate space, it tells a story. It reminds visitors of long walks by the beach, of pockets filled with shells, of sunlight glittering across endless water. The pots, hand-painted in ocean hues, carry a playful charm while standing as guardians of the blooms. As the day fades, the seascape garden glows warmly. The shells catch the last golden rays, the flowers deepen in color, and the air feels thick with calm. Sitting on the patio, one might close their eyes and almost hear gulls calling overhead, feel the sea wind in their hair. This border is more than design, it is memory, it is imagination, it is art. Trash has become treasure, pots have become storytellers, and the garden has become a bridge to the ocean itself. Here, beauty does not stay bound to one place, it drifts like the tide, carrying pieces of the sea to bloom among the flowers. The pergola has always been a place of gathering, a gentle shelter where vines weave overhead and the air feels alive with quiet charm. But here, its edges bloom with a surprise. Tin cans, once dull and discarded, now painted in bright rustic colors and hung like ornaments. They sway gently in the breeze, each one carrying marigolds that blaze like drops of captured sunlight. The scene is cheerful, almost playful. Marigolds spill golden warmth from above, their petals glowing against the painted cans, coral, turquoise, sage, and cream. Below, chrysanthemums rise in their crowns of red and white, while asters scatter their violet stars across the garden bed. Sedum grows thick at the edges, its texture softening the lines of stone pathways that lead into this colorful haven. The pergola itself is wrapped in ivy, its leaves tumbling downward like green lace. As the sun sets, lanterns flicker in the corners, casting soft light onto the hanging cans. Their shadows dance across the beams, weaving patterns of color and bloom, making the space feel both rustic and enchanted. This DIY edging tells a story of transformation. What once was trash now becomes treasure, art crafted from resourcefulness and imagination. The cans do not hide their past, instead, they celebrate it. Their new coats of paint shine proudly, and the flowers they cradle remind visitors that life thrives where creativity takes root. Sitting beneath this pergola, one feels a sense of joy. The air is scented with marigolds and chrysanthemums, the sound of evening birds mingling with the rustle of ivy leaves. Children giggle as they point at the bright cans, neighbors smile as they pass, and those who sit in quiet reflection see not just a pergola, but a living gallery of colors and blooms. By nightfall, the garden becomes a glowing sanctuary. The tin cans glimmer in lantern light, their flowers resting softly for the night. The pergola stands as a testament that beauty can be made, not bought, that joy can be found in the simplest of gestures, in the recycling of what others forget. Here, flowers hang like laughter, and the pergola edges carry a story of creativity blooming under the open sky. In the quiet of a backyard, the fence stands not only as a boundary but as a canvas. Here, wooden planks, weathered and rustic, find new life adorned with bottles in a symphony of colors. Emerald, cobalt, amber, and ruby, each glass vessel glimmers in the sunlight, transforming the simple fence into something extraordinary. The bottles, once tossed aside, now catch and bend the light, scattering it across the garden like stained glass windows in an open-air cathedral. As the sun moves through the sky, the colors shift, morning brings gentle glows of blue and green, afternoon ignites fiery reds and golds, and twilight softens everything into a luminous dream. At the base of the fence, flowers join the spectacle. Marigolds beam with their golden cheer, chrysanthemums bloom in crowns of red and white, while asters and sedums spread like stars across the soil. Together, they frame the fence in living color, adding depth to the glass above. Ivy climbs steadily upward, its leaves twining between bottles, softening the wood and weaving green into the kaleidoscope of light. There is a rustic charm to it all, a feeling that this fence belongs not only to a garden but to a story. It speaks of thrift, of finding beauty in what others overlook. The bottles whisper of dinners shared, of celebrations past, of moments once forgotten and now remembered through transformation. When evening comes, the bottles glow even without the sun. Lanterns hung nearby cast their light through the glass, creating pools of color that shimmer across the ground. The garden feels alive, not only with blooms but with imagination itself. This fence is no longer just a barrier, it is an invitation. It invites neighbors to stop and admire, birds to rest and sing, flowers to lean toward the glow. Most of all, it invites the heart to see how even the humblest materials can create art. Standing here, surrounded by colors and blooms, you realize the truth: beauty is not about perfection. It is about presence, about light finding its way through glass, about flowers blooming beside what was once forgotten. And in this rustic backyard, the fence has become a window to wonder. In the quiet charm of a tiny garden, borders hold the power to shape the story. Here, along the edge of soft soil, painted teacups line the path like a playful necklace of color. Each cup, once part of daily rituals, now stands upright in the earth, painted in pastel tones of rose, mint, and cream. They do not hide their age, instead, they celebrate it, their brushstrokes giving them new life. Beside them, autumn joy sedum blooms generously, its clusters of pink flowers glowing warmly in the fading sunlight. The sedum, sturdy and enduring, contrasts beautifully with the delicate teacups, as if reminding us that whimsy and strength can coexist. Marigolds and asters rise behind them, painting the air with fiery orange and gentle violet, completing the harmony of this little stage. The border feels whimsical yet refined, like something from a fairy tale. Each teacup tells its own story, one painted with tiny roses, another brushed in cheerful yellow, another adorned with rustic blue swirls. Together, they form a gallery at ground level, turning what might have been overlooked into something unforgettable. Children who visit this garden pause to marvel, their eyes widening at the idea of cups holding flowers instead of tea. Adults smile, reminded of the creativity that lies in the simplest choices. Even birds seem drawn to perch nearby, as if curious about the blooms resting in porcelain. As dusk arrives, the border glows softly in the lantern light. The teacups catch faint reflections, while the sedum deepens in color, its blossoms glowing like embers. The marigolds bow gently with the evening breeze, and the asters lift their purple crowns to the first stars. This tiny border proves a powerful truth: beauty does not need vastness. It thrives in corners, in details, in playful touches that spark joy. Trash becomes treasure, porcelain becomes soil, and a small garden becomes a haven of imagination. Here, every cup holds not just a plant but a reminder that the world is brighter when we dare to see possibility in the ordinary. And in this garden, possibility blooms in porcelain and petals alike. The farmhouse front yard has always been a place of welcome, a threshold where home meets the open world. But here, the welcome is painted not only in wood and stone, but in color and bloom. Along the edge of the path, a line of upcycled pots stands proudly, each one brushed in rustic shades of cream, sage, terracotta, and dusty blue. Once mismatched, cracked, or forgotten, they are now reborn as guardians of perennial beauty. From their soil rise chrysanthemums, tall and radiant, their petals like crowns of autumn. Marigolds follow, fiery and bold, spilling warmth over the rims. Asters scatter their violet blossoms like little stars, while sedum glows gently, softening the edges with its clusters of pink. Together, they form a border that is not just practical but poetic, a frame for the farmhouse itself. The white wooden fence stands behind them, softened by ivy climbing in green ribbons. The porch, with its rocking chair and hanging lantern, watches over the garden like a quiet sentinel. Every detail speaks of care and creativity, of a home that honors both tradition and imagination. As the sun moves across the sky, the pots catch the light in different ways. The earthy tones deepen at midday, glowing warmly in the afternoon, and softening into muted pastels at dusk. The flowers respond in kind, Opening wide to the sun and closing gently as evening falls, their colors shifting with the hours. Visitors pause at the gate, enchanted by the border's charm. Children point at the playful arrangement of pots, adults admire the thrifty creativity, and neighbors smile, inspired to see treasure in what might once have been discarded. The border feels alive not just with flowers, but with welcome, with the warmth of a farmhouse that greets every passerby. When twilight settles, lanterns glow on the porch, casting light over the pots. Their shadows stretch long and soft, mingling with the blooms that rest for the night. It is then that the garden feels most complete, as if whispering that beauty lies in the simplest gestures: an old pot, a fresh coat of paint, a bloom that opens to the sky. Here, in the farmhouse yard, upcycled pots carry more than flowers. They carry memory, joy, and the timeless grace of renewal.